So we'll start by paying homage to the Buddha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. So this Yavakalapi Sutta is available in the Sangyutta Nikaya, Salayatana Sangyutta, where Buddha trying to pay our attention towards the various sense interactions. So through the eyes we can see various visuals, and through the ears we can hear various sounds, through the nose various smells, and then through the tongue we can experience various tastes, and then through the body we can experience various tangibles, and through the mind we can experience various mind objects. But when we are not mindful, so these impingements can create a certain impact towards the mind, and mind can get agitated, and it might start thinking, and ultimately can end up with prapancha, conceptual proliferation. So keep on thinking, and it might even get on to a sort of making the mind not only agitated, but even become quite angry or anxious or worrying or being lustful, and ultimately it may persuade the body to do certain action, to implement certain action, and even to start talking, and all these kind of deliberate activities are possible when the mind is fairly into the conceptual proliferation. So here Buddha starts talking 5 possibilities. So how these very subtle thought processes are arising. So one thing is called manjana or manyita, where certain imaginations are there. So we imagine that there is a person here, there is an individual here, and that is how we being brought up, that is how we being educated, emphasizing the individuality, emphasizing the personality. And on the other hand, in the outside also there are people, there are individuals, and again we objectify whatever our experience. Whenever we are seeing some inanimate thing, so we have given a name, and we know their purpose, and we have attributed a value. So likewise, all the outside objects are also given various names. So they are objects, they are very important objects, they are valuable objects, and we imagine that they are there. So that is our understanding. So that is our accepted knowing. There are individuals, and there are people, and there are countries, and there are things, there are objects, and this is in a way one way of imagination, and this can promote thinking. So that we already discussed as the first aspect. And when our mind influenced by certain amount of craving, certain amount of tanha, a desire, it can't rest. It basically get sort of agitated, because again and again various sights are drawing our attention, various sounds are drawing our attention, various smells, taste, tangibles are drawing our attention. So as a result of that, when our mind is influenced by various desires, again certain agitation happen in the mind. So it can promote thinking, what we call as the injita. That's a second aspect we discussed. So how these desires, how these cravings can promote some sort of thinking, and it is very subtle. And Buddha starts telling that there are 9 possibilities. These are not the only ones. Maybe he's given certain examples. So asmiti bhikkhave injitameta. So if we are thinking that I am, it's a very very subtle, very very basic fundamental sense of I. So that is an injita, that is an agitation. I am this, I am aham asmiti. It's an agitation. So whenever you are going in front of a mirror and you see the image, the shadow, and probably you immediately recognize, this is I am. But we can't even understand that is the image Rather, we can immediately say, here I am. So we can easily identify with such a image, such a picture, such a photo. So likewise, so this I am this is a agitation. I shall be in the future. So I shall be. So the rooted wrong view is that there is a person here, there is an individual here, there is a self here, there is a Atma here. So whenever we are being sort of attracted towards various sights, sounds, smells, tastes, tangibles and various mental objects, our mind gets agitated, it promotes thinking. So that is the second aspect we discussed. The third one is called Pandita, where we, for safety or maybe kind of emotional safety, we get attached to something. It may be an individual, it may be some kind of a condition, kind of a situation, kind of an object. So we always expect some sort of a safety through these outside attachments, but unfortunately those objects, those individuals are also impermanent and they are subject to change, and we start getting experiencing some sort of another kind of palpitation, another kind of agitation, because whatever we are dependent on are impermanent. So that is the third aspect we discussed. And then we spend fair amount of time discussing the papancha, proliferation, how the mind has spreading out. Whenever a thought arises in the mind has a tendency to spread it out, to multiply it, to expand it, to take it to very different kinds of different directions. So there is no any proper orderly kind of a manner, but typically it's a kind of a very random, different kind of directions. And that is what we already discussed. So since we have spent fair amount of time discussing these things, so now we can get into the last one. So that is called the Managata, or what we call as conceit. So as I discussed, now typically our understanding, so how we are being brought up, how we are being educated, is basically an acceptance of an individuality. There is an individual here, there is a person here. On the other hand, there is an object here. So we are using various concepts to explain those, and the names, the labels, the values attributed, all are in a way we can consider as various different kinds of conventions. Whenever we are too much attached to these conventions and we are fully involved in it, completely accepted in it, fully immersed in it, that conceptuality basically allows the mind to kind of compare. We compare to situations, we compare to objects, and we compare to individuals. We compare ourselves with another person, because there is a person here, I am an individual, and how am I doing with compared to another person. So this comparison is an ongoing task in the mind. Either we knowingly or unknowingly, our mind tends to compare, because we have attributed a name, we have attributed a person, we have attributed an individual, and accordingly the society has attributed certain values, good, bad, and then long, short, far, near, wholesome, unwholesome. So likewise, all these different kind of dualistic thinking, dualistic measurements are well established in the mind, well established in the society, and our mind tend to compare ourselves with someone else. And we compare two situations, and we compare two countries, we compare two individuals, we compare our children, we compare our friends. So likewise, this comparison is an ongoing process. So we measure, we compare. Now this is something called the conceit, and in this Yavakalapi Sutta, so Buddha mentioned that as a result of this comparison, as a result of this measurement, this very rooted conceit, there is a possibility to arise various thoughts. So I am is based on the conceit. It is because of the conceit that there's a kind of a sense of I arise. Because of conceit that I am this, such kind of a thought arise. And then I shall be is because of the involvement of conceit. And I shall not be is because of the involvement of conceit. And I shall consist of form. I shall not consist of form. I shall be percipient. I shall not be percipient. Likewise, so there is an individual, I accept it as something, as a fact. So my mind now start measuring, comparing, and so the thoughts are arising. I am this, I am going to do this, I am going to do that, I did that. So likewise, so this very basic measurement, very basic comparison is a cause for arising different kinds of thoughts. Now, and this actually happen in many different ways. So these are very common. Most of us are sometimes aware of these things. Now say for example, because of the birth, say you are born into one clan, born into one kind of a country, okay, or you are born into a rich family. So then there is a possibility that because of our birth, we might compare ourselves with another person. So my birth is into this clan, my birth is into this caste, my birth is into this family. So how about another person? Are they also from the same country? Are they also from the same family? Are they all from the same caste? So likewise, birth is one reason or one situation we often use for comparison. So as a result of that, sometimes you might get conceited. Say you are born into a auspicious time, in a particular era, particular generation, and we may compare ourselves with another generation then. Okay, I am from this generation, he is from that generation, he is an older person, I am a new generation person. So likewise, the birth is one reason for us to maybe develop in certain kind of a superiority, or maybe we are thinking that I am of the same category, so I am similar to him, or else we can develop some kind of an inferiority. So therefore these are three types as a result of the measurement, as a result of this mana, conceit. So typically there are three possibilities. Either as a result of measurement, I might think, okay, I am superior to you, or else I might think I am similar to you, I am equal to you, or else I might think I am inferior to you. So these are the three typical possibilities coming out of conceit. Now, birth is one condition for us to measure like that. And then the caste, so that we all might know. So we are born into a particular race, we are born into a particular nationality, we are born into a particular, say, a caste, a clan, and certain clans or certain nationalities, certain castes are sometimes accepted as kind of a superior class, and as a result of that, certain class differences are there, and then people are clashing each other, and caste systems are also there, and sometimes the society has accepted that this particular caste is the superior class, and another caste is inferior. Now during the Buddha's time, there are 4 caste systems: Sakyans, Brahmins, Vaishyans, and then the Shudra. So they were thinking, okay, Shakyans and the Brahmins are the kind of higher caste. Vaishya, the ones who are involved with trading, are kind of a middle, and then the Shudra as the lower caste. So this is a kind of a convention that the people have imposed into the society. So when we are accepting it as a reality, so we tend to think ourselves with another person based on the caste. As a result of that, probably you may be thinking, I am better, I am superior, and he is inferior, or I am inferior, he is superior. So measurements are quite possible based on the caste. And then health. So you are healthy and another person is not healthy, and you may be proud of your health, and while others are easily subjected to various kinds of illnesses, if you are able to maintain good health, as a result of health also you might even feel superior, and you start comparing yourself with another person based on the health. And then the youth, and sometimes we become quite strong and youthful, and that also another reason for to become proud. And the same thing is the beauty. Now if someone is pretty, beautiful, and another one is handsome, so and we accept, okay, I am beautiful, I am better, I am handsome compared to another person. So we always want to highlight ourselves, we want to compare ourselves, and we want to sort of show off ourselves. Now all these are possible because we compare. So this comparison, this measurement is such a rooted defilement in the mind, mana anusaya, the conceit as a latent tendency. So this is typically mentioned that it is only possible to completely abandon when one becomes fully enlightened. That means when one becomes an arahant only, he is capable of completely abandoning this conceit. Till that, this comparison is keep going on. We keep on comparing ourselves with another person because we still have this conceit. We still have this asmimana. So I am an individual, I am here, I am a person, I am a self. So this sense of I is a very subtle, rooted defilement. And then profits. Sometimes we are involved with various trade, and we may be earning a lot compared to another individual, and we might feel, okay, I am better, I am doing really well. So that is another way of comparison. And if you have a lot of followers, now say you are a teacher, you are a reputed person, and you have a lot of followers, and you are comparing yourself with another person, how much followers he is having, how many followers he is having, am I doing better than him? Now this labha sakkara siloka, so whenever we are gaining something, maybe profit, maybe reputation, or we have a lot of followers and we become popular, and others are giving various things to us, so likewise all these are certain reason for us to be proud, conceited, and as a result of that, probably we might even look down another person, condemn another individual, because we feel that we are doing better than him. Now these are very common. Now these are not difficult to understand. These are quite common among the society, and people are getting into arguments, people are getting into clashes, because they have this, the superiority as a kind of a trait in the mind, or the inferiority as a trait in the mind. So certain countries are thinking, okay, I am doing better than the other country. So as a result of that, they categorize the countries even. So everywhere these concepts actually have given an opportunity for us to measure, to categorize, to compare. So as a result of that, thinking is possible in the mind. And wealth, as we already discussed. So if one is really rich, really wealthy, so he may be thinking that I am better than the other person. Other person is a poor person. And you are trying to kind of enforce kind of a situation onto another person because you think, oh yeah, you are wealthy, you are rich, you are well-to-do. On the other hand, if you feel, okay, I am poor, and another person is really rich, so and you feel really timid, or you feel really down, and you feel suppressed, and you might even become jealous of the other person. Now all these things are possible because there is ongoing comparison. And then education. Say someone is well educated, someone has gone to the university, earned several degrees, but another person is not that educated. So education is another reason for us to develop conceit. And nowadays it is happening in a large scale, and people are given various certificates, various designations, various degrees, and this measurement is a accepted norm in the society. So through the education we are measuring ourselves, and we want to every time climb the ladder in the education level, and so that you feel superior, you feel well to do, you feel I am better than the other person. So education is another very well organized system to develop conceit. So if you are not handling these situations wisely, so we become quite conceited, we feel proud, and we might look down the others, and conflicts are possible. And we keep thinking as a result of these kind of conceited situations. And then professional qualification. Say you are a person, you are a professional, you are a doctor, you are an engineer, you are an accountant. And likewise there are various different professions are there. And based on the profession we can look down another person. So I am an engineer, you are a laborer. So I am putting you, the laborer, into a lower scale. Or if you are not a kind of a accepted, a reputed professional, and you feel okay, I am suppressed, I am being neglected, I am not that accepted, I am not rewarded because I am a poor person, I am not that professional, I am just a casual worker. So likewise this professional education, professional qualification is another area that people are using to look down another person, compare with another person. And if you are an individual with a lot of professional qualification, you might feel conceited, you might feel proud, and as a result of that we are again and again thinking, we are comparing. So this conceit is another area, this professional qualification is another area for conceit to properly establish. And then ascetic practices. Now if you are coming to the spiritual area, now so far we have discussed about some social aspects, but if we come to say spiritual side, they are also possible to compare ourselves. Suppose you are trying to maintain 5 precepts, you are trying to maintain 8 precepts, you are a novice, or you are a high ordained monk, a nun, and probably that moral conduct, that sort of ethical behavior also can be a reason for us to develop certain kind of a conceit. Because by being moral, and we feel kind of proud, so I am better than you, I am having a higher sila, higher moral code, moral conduct than another person. So we are always trying to measure using the morality. But actually that is not what Buddha wants. But we unfortunately use even the morality as a cause for us to compare ourselves with another person. Kind of a ignorant way of handling even the morality. Actually morality is there for us to avoid any kind of harmful activities towards ourselves and towards the others. But unfortunately we are using even the moral conduct to compare. I am with higher sila, I am with lower sila, I am not capable of maintaining sila, another person is capable of maintaining sila, another person is not maintaining good sila, so he is a dussila. So likewise, so we use morality even to compare. And whenever we are thinking that I am an individual with good moral conduct, it can cause thinking. On the other hand, when I am thinking I am not maintaining good conduct, moral conduct, it can also create thinking. So morality is another cause, a possible cause to develop some kind of a conceit. And then in order to develop morality, sometimes in certain practices, there are certain ascetic practices. Now, when it comes to Buddhist teaching, there are certain ascetic practices. There are 13 such ascetic practices, what we call as Dutang. Say, for example, certain monks are there. So, they every day go on village Vindapatha. So, they are not accepting food taken to the monastery. So, they are going to village Vindapatha. So, they have observed this ascetic practice called the Pindapatikanga. So, I am continuously trying to adhere to this ascetic practice of going to the village rather than eating in the monastery. Whatever the food taken to the monastery, I am not going to consume. Instead, I am every day going to the village Pindapatha. And it can be a reason to compare yourself with other monks or other nuns. Because you feel, okay, I am better than them. So they are more greedy and they are more into luxurious behavior. But I am not like that. I am more into the practice. I am more into ascetic practices. I am better than them. So likewise, so this sort of ascetic practice also can become a reason for us to compare ourselves. Say, for example, another ascetic practice. Say you are only maintaining 3 robes. Say if you are a monk, you are maintaining only 3 robes as an ascetic practice, but others are maintaining many robes. And probably you compare yourself with the others and thinking you are better than them because you are now adhering to this kind of ascetic practice. So likewise, even in the lay society, there are certain such kind of vows. Say for example, you are a vegetarian and you keep it as a vow. So I am not going to eat meat, I am not going to consume any kind of such products. So you are a vegetarian. But others are not doing like that, and you might feel superior because you enjoy as a vegetarian. You compare yourself as another special person with another person. So compared with him, you are better than him. So likewise, certain vows that people are entertaining in the society can create such kind of a conceit in the mind. It can even be a moral, some kind of a spiritual kind of a vow. And then even the concentration. Say you are developing meditation and you are able to attain a certain samadhi, say first jhana, and when you are participating into a retreat and you found, okay, you can now easily attain the first jhana, but another person is still struggling, he can't even maintain the posture, he often gets distracted, but you are not like that. You are much better. So your concentration ability or that skill can be a cause to compare with another person. Now, so that's why, so this is a fairly widely available defilement, and knowingly or unknowingly we get subjected to this defilement. So we become a victim of this behavior. So the conceit can easily creep into the mind, and when someone who is quite wise can understand our behavior. That's another interesting thing. So whenever we are being completely consumed by conceit, completely overpowered by conceit, we are behaving in a quite ignorant way, but another person who is quite wise can understand, okay, this guy is quite proud, this guy is into the conceit. So that is why he is behaving like this. Because we ourselves can't even understand that we are a victim of conceit. It is so subtle. So the conceit is operating in the mind, and we are being completely overpowered by that, and we keep on behaving in a certain way, completely being a victim to that conceit. So our behavior is fully influenced by the conceit, because we can't even understand it. We can't even understand that our behavior is fully governed by conceit. It is so subtle. But as we are developing the practice, we may be able to understand how the conceit is generated, how we are making a self, how we start measuring, how we start comparing ourselves with another person. So that can become slowly evident to us as we are growing in the practice. But in the mundane terms, so there are various very good practices established in the society to minimize this conceit, to reduce the proud. Say for example, in the countries like Eastern countries, in the Eastern society, there is a very good practice of respecting the elders, respecting the parents, respecting the clergy, respecting teachers. So that can create a fair amount of humility in the mind. Because we, rather than feel superior, so we get down and we give the seat to another person and we respect another person, and we ourselves now have a capacity to ground ourselves. Rather than always in a higher seat, okay, we can come down. We can give the respect to another person. We can give the seat to another person. We can give the respect to another person. So likewise, so these kind of very simple practices are quite helpful in mundane terms to reduce our conceit. But this is not the complete abandonment of the conceit, but at least for the well-being of the society. So this kind of respecting each other, respecting teachers, respecting parents, respecting elders, respecting clergy. So these are kind of interesting areas where certain societies are really based upon, so that there is a kind of very good understanding, there is a very good respecting and very good relationship among the people as a result of these kind of practices. But on the other hand, if you are the person who being respected, then you have to be careful without being conceited. That's the other side. Now say if you are belong to a particular respectful category, say you are one of the clergy and all others are respecting you, and then you might get conceited as a result of that. So you have to be very careful. So for the nuns and the monks, so this is quite important. So if you are a monk and you being respected by the others, there's a possibility that conceit arises in you, and you have to be very careful not to allow it. And if you are an elderly person and all are respecting you, you have to be very careful not to conceit to overpower you, thinking that you are superior than the others, even though that the others are respecting. Your side has to be well guarded, not allowing conceit to overpower you. And when it comes to the practice, certain occasions are there how Buddha encouraged the abandonment of conceit by various practices. So we can find one such occasion where he is advising Venerable Rahula. Animittancha bhavehi mananusaya mujjaha tato manabhisamaya upasanto charissasiti. Animittancha bhavehi. So this animitta, the signless concentration. So Buddha encouraged Venerable Rahula to develop signless concentration in order to abandon this latent tendency to conceit. Now you can see the animitta, the signless concentration, is a very powerful practice because your mind becomes very, very clear, less signs, less corrupted, and it has fair amount of space. So as a result of that, easily you can understand the subtle defilements. So conceit is a subtle defilement. Actually, we can easily understand lust, we can easily understand anger, because they are comparatively gross defilements. But conceit, on the other hand, is a very, very subtle defilement, very difficult to understand. So animitta, the signless concentration, if you are capable of maintaining the mind in the signless state, that's a very good sign. There is a quite good opportunity for us to understand the conceit. Because the signless state of the mind is a very pure state. Your mind is not picking any signs, your mind is not picking any marks. So as a result of that, the mind is capable of maintaining a very good clarity. So the mind is very much like transparent. Mind is maintaining its complete clarity, very pure. Whenever a subtle comparison is now arising, you can quickly detect it. You can quickly notice it. So that's the advantage. So this is actually common even to the sunyata, the emptiness, appanihita, the kind of desireless. So whatever very pure state of mind, if you are capable of maintaining, so it is giving you an opportunity to understand a subtle defilement. It's very much like you are having a completely, pure, clean cloth. Say you have a completely white, clean cloth. So even a mosquito landed upon it, you can easily notice it, because it's already a very clean cloth. So the signless concentration is also like that. So if you are able to achieve it, if you are able to maintain it often, then it is easily you can notice the latent tendencies, conceit. And then Buddha further mentioned, Tato mana bisamaya upasanto charisati. So by breaking through the conceit, now you can live in a tranquil way. You are maintaining a very peaceful, tranquil behavior, because you are not being attacked by the conceit often. Rather, you can quickly recognize it, quickly abandon it. So your behavior become very peaceful behavior. You are not getting into arguments, you are not getting into any conflicts, because you are maintaining very good moral conduct. You are free from conceit. You are trying to maintain a very peaceful mind, not being infected by conceit. Now you can live peacefully. And certain other areas are there now. Say for example, in another Rahula Sutta, where Buddha mentioned, okay, Rahula, you got to develop the meditation like a space. You know that the space is not established on anywhere. Similarly, Buddha advised Venerable Rahula, okay, Rahula, you got to maintain your consciousness like space. So your so your mind is very spacious. It has a lot of space. It is a very pervaded kind of awareness. So then you can start understanding various subtle defilements. And certain occasions are there that Venerable Rahula come and ask from the Buddha, and he is asking, Venerable Sir, how should one know, how should one see, so that in regard to this body with consciousness and regard to all external signs, eye-making, mind-making and the underlying tendency to conceit no longer occur within? It's a very subtle, very profound question Venerable Rahula is asking from the Buddha. And then Buddha answering, any kind of form whatsoever, Rahula, whether past, future or present, internal, external, gross or subtle, inferior, superior, far or near, one see all form as it really is with correct wisdom. This is not mine, this is I am not, this is not myself. So basically you are disclaiming. rather than attributing a self, rather than attributing an individual, you are doing the opposite. So whenever mind tries to attribute a person into it, you are disclaiming it, you are disavowing it. Okay, I am not this, I am not that, this is not myself, this is not mine, this is not me. So likewise, the ongoing old defiled trend, now you are purposely breaking. This is another interesting practice. So whenever mind is trying to take us onto the old path of conceit, and you notice it quickly, and you are now trying to divert it, you are now trying to revert it. So I am not going to promote this self, I am not going to promote this self view. Instead, you understood through your practice, okay, there is no self, and now you are not trying to inject that understanding, you are now trying to inject that insight on that occasion. I am not this, this is not mine, this is not myself. Say for example, you participated to a retreat and you thoroughly understand the teaching of the Buddha, and you got a couple of insights, and you feel quite energetic because of the practice, and you are now trying to live up to that. So once you come back home, say you again saw a group photo, some of your batchmates are there or some of your colleagues are there, and again mind picks the image of you and now again trying to say, this is I am, oh, this is myself. So mind is trying to promote the self view again as a result of that picture. On that occasion, our previous insight has to come forward in order to abandon the development of conceit, in order to abandon the development of that comparison. Our old trait, old habit has to be slowly abandoned. Knowingly, okay, I understood that I am no more going to promote that old habit, old pattern of thinking. Rather, I am now using the insight to completely calm down the mind. It's very much like you are removing certain ripples. Now probably you are familiar with the certain planing, in the carpentry. So certain carpenters actually they look at the certain timber, and if they find there are certain ripples, there are certain unevenness in the surface, they again and again plane it, and ultimately it can become completely a flat surface. There are no any kind of outgrowths. Rather, it is a completely smooth, flat surface. So the conceit is also like a ripple in the mind. So time to time, so these ripples are possible to happen. So these outgrowths can happen, but the wisdom should be used like this to abandon it, not to promote it. So that the mind maintains evenness. And therefore, Buddha say, so any kind of a form, it may be past, may be future, present, internal, external, all are, this is not me, this is not mine, this I am not, this is not myself. So likewise, now he is talking here to all the form aggregate. Similarly, he mentioned about the feeling aggregate, perception aggregate, formations aggregate, consciousness aggregate. So the idea is, so when we consider different aggregates, so we should be carefully observe whenever some sort of I-making happens, mind-making happens, or kind of a comparison happens, and at that moment we have to disavow it. We have to disclaim it. This is not me, this is not mine, this is not myself. So very carefully we have to do this practice, and if we are capable of doing that, then there is a possibility to maintain a mind in an even way, a very peaceful way, without being conceited. Now in this Yavakalapi Sutta, Buddha mentioned, so this conceit, involvement with the conceit is a kind of a disease. Managatam bhikkhave rogo. Involvement of this conceit is a tumor. Managatam gandu. Involvement with conceit is a dart. Managatam sallam. Tasmatiha bhikkhave nihata manena chetasa viharisa mati. Evam hivo bhikkhave sikkitabba. So therefore Buddha emphasized, you should train yourself thus. We will dwell with a mind in which conceit has been struck down. That should you train yourself. So this is the advice of the Buddha. By learning all this, we should understand, okay, when the conceit is arising, and when it is arising, we should be able to abandon it, maintain a mind very fairly calm, very relaxed, very quiet, without influence by the conceit. Okay, with that we can actually conclude this section of the Yavakalapi Sutta. Actually, this is the end of the sutta, and it's a very interesting and fairly important sutta, particularly to our Chittanupassana and Dhammanupassana. Because when you are into the Chittanupassana and Dhammanupassana, you are trying to carefully understand the mind. So what are the various tendencies operating in the mind, and how thoughts are being generated, and what are the defilements, and what way of thinking is further promoting defilements, and how are we going to overcome that. So these kind of aspects are very carefully mentioned in this Yavakalapi Sutta. I'm inviting you all to use these techniques, teachings to your practice. I will conclude today's Sutta teaching session, and thank you very much for attentive listening. Okay, now we can start question and answers, and if you have any question related to your practice or related to your this today's sermon, you can now raise the question.
Thank you, Bhante. Sadhu. Will we be seeing you more on video moving forward, Bhante?
That's also possible nowadays. Actually, I am staying in Aswattha Monastery, so here I have a good connection.
Okay, nice. Good causes and conditions today.
Yes. What's this? Okay.
Does anyone have any questions regarding the Sutta teachings or your regular sitting practice?
Dhammasada.
Hi, I'd like to invite, Dhammasada. Hi, welcome.
Therwan Saranai Swami Nohanse.
Yeah, Therwan Saranai.
Yes, today's Sutta teaching really resonates with me because I heard of a yogi who went to a retreat, some 10-day retreat, and on the retreat they were able to get certain insights that they did not have before. And the yogi said this really made them concentrated. You know, they had some fair amount of samadhi where they were not always disturbed. They can see the disturbance, or they can see the way the mind is, shaky, unstable, but they were not getting affected on account of this. So because of that, they were able to maintain some fair amount of equanimity for long periods of times, extended periods of times. And after they came from the retreat, this yogi felt that it's as though they have become even more conceited than they went into the retreat, because they were always thinking of this insight that they gained as their own. And because of that, they started comparing themselves to other people. I have tranquility, I have concentration of mind, but these are the people. I don't know whether it's the same for them. So this yogi said that it's as though they know that they are conceited now. They're more conceited even more than they went into the retreat. If I'm making sense. So when you were giving the talk today, this is one of the examples that popped into my mind about how one can become conceited because of certain attainments or concentration or just spiritual achievements.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the other thing is that now only very few people get into the spiritual practice, and unfortunately those individuals can feel superior than the others, and they think, okay, I am much better and I am not trapped in the five sensual cords, I am more into spirituality. See the others, they are quite mundane and they are more engulfed with various sensual activities, so I am better than them. So this spirituality is therefore one reason for feel superiority. And here in one sense we can understand how capable, how skillful Buddha, and he asked the monks to often reflect parapatibaddhame jivikati pabbajitena abhinham paccavekkittabba. So here Buddha mentioned, monks, you should often reflect that your life is fully dependent on the others. Now you can see how wise Buddha is, because he has seen this possibility. He has seen, okay, when one is more into the spirituality, when one has become a monk, he's more into a higher moral conduct and this kind of spiritual practice. So there is a possibility to arise the conceit. So that is why he is asking the monks, okay, monks, you shouldn't be independent. Independent in the sense that monks are not supposed to earn money, they are not supposed to run a business and self-sufficient. Rather, for everything they have to reach to the lay community. In case they want some kind of help, they have to reach the lay community. It may be their residence, it may be their medicine, it may be their food. So whatever the thing, they have to reach the lay people. So the lay people, out of generosity, they are now giving something to the monks. So in that sense, monks have to behave in a proper way rather than being conceited, because they know, okay, next day also I have to take the ball in front of this very poor family. So these people are maybe spending fair amount of time in their paddy fields and they are struggling with their life, and they have a lot of children to look after, and that little amount they are giving a little portion to me also. So likewise, a very human way, Buddha is trying to abandon the conceit in the monks, conceit in these spiritual groups. But unfortunately nowadays we are not much practicing those kind of practices, like getting to Pindapata and participating, rather getting to different houses and then they are offering very little thing. But now people are often come to the monastery and offer the things. So monks may feel superior than the lay people. So therefore, so we have to be very, very careful when we are in the spiritual practice, not allowing the conceit to overpower the mind, because there is a fairly high chance of feeling superior than the lay people.
Sad.
In this Katukaliyawa, are you going on Pindapata?
I have personally never been on Pindapata, but there are two monks who do it frequently. Yes, there are two monks who go on Pindapata once or 2 or 3 times a week. Yeah.
So time to time.
And the village people here, they are very generous.
Right.
Each time one monk comes back with enough portions for even 4 months. Yeah.
That also has to be handled carefully, because as you already discussed, even certain ascetic practices can become a reason to feel conceited.
Right.
So tricky area in a way. So Buddha is asking us to reflect that we are fully dependent on the others, but on the other hand, when we are practicing that, we might think, okay, I am better than another ascetic person, another monk.
Right.
Very tricky.
Okay, thank you. Shall we take the next question?
Yes. Okay.
Hi, I'd like to invite Indrad.
Thero Sanai Bante, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, but this regarding my practice, I just like in the Paryanka, I just experience like when I start, it's just like a subtle, like a slow process. I just see the breath, and then I start seeing like a little vibration, and this just increases, like it's just like sort of like in a sequence. I see, this is what I observed. And then every time, like, it just like goes, like the breath goes for a while, and then I just see a vibration. I feel a vibration sort of in the heart. And then I just move on to like a different, like a different layer. Like every time that process happens, so like it just goes on, and then the clarity becomes more in the mind, and the body is also like very light. I just want to understand that process and just like get some advice on how to progress further in my meditation.
Yeah, I think it's better allow it to happen, nothing to change, because whatever the results or the observations that you have mentioned are quite positive and indicates certain improvement in the practice. Just continue. I mean, nothing much to adjust.
Okay, so I just keep on observing and just progress further. Okay.
Yeah. Only thing is when you are observing them, if you get distracted and it's difficult to come back, then probably you might return to the primary object, maybe Anapanasati. Otherwise, you can continue the observation.
Okay. All right, Bhante. Okay. And also one more thing, just to understand, like, regarding the sutra, you said the conceit thing. Is it like a good thing, like we have like a dedicated, like a day, like just not to talk about other people? Like, I'm just trying to think, if I observe that sort of thing, like that will just reduce the like amount of comparison.
Certainly.
Like, is that a good practice too?
Definitely yes. Yeah, definitely yes.
Okay.
Because we can't have conceit without comparing, isn't it? So in order to have conceit, we need to highlight myself as an individual, and in order to highlight, then I have to compare myself with another one who is not that good or not that better. Then only I feel I am better. I am superior. But if I am not comparing, if I am not measuring with the others, then there is no way to arise conceit. So as you said, if you can spend certain amount of time not comparing, and you are simply just allowing the mind to rest and say in the present moment, definitely you are trying to abandon conceit.
Okay, that's what I just want to understand. Thank you, Bhante. Thero Sanai.
Yeah, Thero Sanai.
Thank you. And I'd like to invite, hi, Zoom user, can you please share your name with Bhante, please?
Oh, yes. Hello, Bhante. This is Drake from Oregon.
Right.
Hi. Well, thank you so much. I was curious about like the 9 propositions that are rooted in a self-view, like I am this, I shall be.
Mm-hmm.
if it's kind of like a wrong perception to imagine there's a person here, what's the correct view, or what's the skillful way of perceiving and conceiving that doesn't do that?
So basically the mind has to become more and more silent on the other hand, because you can see that most often whatever the thoughts are arising based upon an individual. Actually, these are subtle practices actually we can't immediately do. So we have to develop certain amount of mindfulness and insight practice. Then only we can catch these kind of very subtle tendencies in the mind. So whenever, we have to also allow the mind to think. Then only we can understand what are the content of the thoughts. So how the I is kind of as a self included in this particular thought. How there is a comparison included in this particular thought. So likewise, very careful analysis is required for us to understand this very subtle comparison embedded in a particular thought. Typically, thoughts are based upon an individual. Thoughts are based upon a self. And we should be carefully recognize that aspect. And when we are able to understand, okay, then it's a kind of a insight. And rather than promoting it, now we can slowly abandon that thought. So rather than promoting that particular way of thinking, we can slowly abandon that. Say for example, say you did something good. Say you helped someone and you did something good, and that incident is over and you come back home, and while you are resting, a certain thought occurs in your mind, okay, I am the one who helped that particular guy, and without my presence he is in a deep trouble, so I am the one help him. So making as an individual, highlighting as an individual, praising as an individual, the I has come out of that thought. So if we are able to notice that, slowly we can keep it aside and keep the mind quiet. Doing something good is not the bad thing, it is good. But promoting a self out of that is the tricky thing that we need to slowly keep aside.
So it's the silence of the mind and its presence is the indication that the practice is going in the right direction.
Yes, that is what very much we can say, because most often thoughts are fairly grounded upon delusion, some kind of an ignorance, but that doesn't mean we should never think. There may be instances that we have to think, we have to compare, because when sometimes we are dealing with certain conventional way, certain mundane aspects we have to work on such occasion we have to do certain amount of thinking, no problem. But after that we should be able to again calm down the mind without too much get involved with such kind of thinking. Again we should be able to relax the mind, silence the mind.
And is that silence a kind of samadhi, like a momentary concentration? Is jhana?
Yeah, actually,
is jhana?
If we are getting to a jhana, that is a higher concentration, more influenced by the concentration faculty. But here we are more into the vipassana, through the wisdom, through the understanding, through the insight, without allowing the mind to deeply concentrate onto something. Are you able to keep the mind relaxed without absorbing to anything?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask about the absorption. So I'm not sure if I've ever attained jhana, but I like that little dot, and then to become absorbed in a dot like a mental sign. That's what I was. Is that how you understand jhana, as like the absence of sound and sight and being fully absorbed in a mental sign, or do you understand it differently?
Yeah, it can be a mental sign. For example, when one practices anapanasati, so there is a possibility that there's a certain light appears, a kind of a cloud kind of a thing appear, a moon like of a thing appear, and you are softly looking at it, and it's a very pleasant experience. At whatever given moment, you get absorbed it, you get immersed in it, you become one with it. Then you can say, okay, you are in an absorption. Your mind is not wavering, mind is not thinking, and there are no any defilements, no thinking, and you are completely experiencing a very blissful state. So that we can say a kind of a jhana.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you. I'd like to invite Vitrana for the next question.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
You talked about that it's a very valuable lesson we got today, and I think I've been noticing that as well. You said, I know you said maybe to the mark discussion, but even for lay people like us, who yogis who do the practice, I see sometimes myself, because I'm now doing practice for quite a bit of time, that I do get the comparison with a person with who's not doing the practice.
Mm-hmm.
I see it, so I think it's a hard one to, I will say hard because at the stage I'm in, to avoid, because that's, so for example, like, somebody says something like, with a lot of self-view, right, saying, oh, I did this, I did that, then internally I have this, I get this thought, you are creating such a self-view, right, and you are attaching such bond to yourself. But I think that also creates a bit of conceit, saying that because of the practice I'm a bit more superior than you or something like that. So there is some essence to that, I see that, but it's a very hard one to tackle, Bhante. I think so I guess the question is like, it's not that intentional that we go and try to compare and say you're superior. Correct. But in discussions and that happens. So yeah, it's a very interesting one to observe. I don't know how to 100% fix that, but I think that's I just guess we observe and then we try to tell ourselves that we shouldn't do that. Is that at least the first stage to get out of that, Bhante?
Yeah, we can say so, because whenever we understand the mind is getting to that old habit and thinking I am better than the other person, and feeling little happy because of that, and highlighting a self, highlighting a person, so that ignorant, that behavior, we if we are noticing, then we can have a chance to slowly keep it aside. So because if we promote thinking the same way, then we are promoting the self-view. So different opportunities arise every day. Now say for example, when you are dealing with the other people, other situations, there are many different opportunities are arising, available for the conceit to arise. But whenever that is arising, we should be careful to understand, is there is kind of a proud arising, is there is any conceit arising. Now say for example, when you are delivering a speech, you are making a presentation, so everyone else is looking at you, so you become the center of focus. On such occasion, there is a high possibility for the conceit to arise. And if you are also doing it really well, and others are praising and others are admiring it, then there's a higher possibility for the conceit to arise. So particularly I am talking about the superiority, the what we call as a seyamana. So when it is arising, we should be able to notice it. It doesn't mean we are not doing the presentation also. because that is the taking it to another extreme. Because when you are doing a presentation, if it is arising, so if I am not going to do the presentation, because then we are taking it to another level, another extreme. Rather, we are doing the task as well, but being a warning, taking a warning, being little precautious to recognize the possibility of developing the conceit, arising the conceit. And when it arises, slowly keeping it aside.
Yeah, very, very good, Bhante. Sounds good. So I think mainly with presentations and even with when you're working to get this performance reviews where you have to say about yourself.
Exactly. So that's why,
because unfortunately that's the process. Right?
Yeah. Exactly.
So those things I think really do arise the conceit, as you say, because end of the day you still have to promote because of the way because that's the expected nature of such things.
Exactly.
Right? You'll ask you what you done.
Yeah.
Say this.
Yeah.
Especially end of the year comes these things.
Yes.
But right, and that's a high possibility, and I think mostly the conceit too. Another aspect I saw is so this we talk with externals and handling others, but just now, like before joining this, there was something like a silly mistake I did, right? A silly mistake or some mistake I did, right? What I saw is very agitation with myself as well. Like, so it's almost like you come, because it's hard to say. It's like you compare yourself with you, like in the sense, oh, I should have been more mindful. Why I didn't do that? And then you get agitated like that. Also, is that sort of a bit of a conceit as well, or is just that you're trying to overthink it? Like, because you should be mindful, and then you have a slip up, or like did a silly mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Is that happens as well, Bhante? Like, or is that sort of related as well with these things?
Yeah, the thing is, we can't immediately abandon conceit. That is also something we need to understand, because we need certain amount of the kind of an ambition, some kind of a motivation for our practice. Now we can't have the motivation without being an individual. So it's a kind of a tricky thing. So now certain statement is there in Dhamma, manang nissaya manang pahatabbang. So you are using the conceit to abandon conceit. Now, the interesting example given there is that, Venerable Ananda is saying, assume that you are a monk and you get to know that your colleague monk has become an arahant. And then you are thinking to yourself, okay, he is my friend, he ordained with me, or he attained the higher ordination with me. Now see, he's an arahant. I get to know that he is an arahant. So why can't I do it? Why can't I become an arahant? Now there also a sort of conceit is the one promoting, because you appear as an individual and you are comparing yourself with another individual, and now you want to become an arahant as an individual, and you are using such a motivation, you are enhancing your practice, you are promoting your practice, you strengthening your practice. But interesting thing with the practice is, as we are progressing, as we are further and further increasing our wisdom, we even understand the conceit as a subtle defilement. Then there is a possibility to slowly abandon it. Without developing the practice to that level, we are unable to abandon it. That is why there is a kind of a tricky area. So at first you need a kind of a healthy self to continue the practice. So you feel, okay, I am a good person, I am not getting into bad things now, I am behaving well, my morality is good, my concentration is also good. So likewise, a kind of appreciation is there about your performance as an individual. But later when you are into vipassana, and they are also to a very subtle understanding, they are also, then only you can understand the very subtle sense of I, this self view operating underneath, and then you are capable of removing it. Till that, we have to drive ourselves. We have to promote the practice. But later the practice itself is capable of slowly uprooting this conceit I am.
Understood and very clear. Thank you, Bhante. The last thing I want to ask, Bhante, is to the practice. So I think it applies to obviously from us, like lay people like us. So due to because the practice, I think like my partner, like we try to avoid like going to like many parties and things like that these days, because I understand that you are very mindful that it doesn't matter if you go anywhere, right? But I think for us, because we're still not at that expert level, I don't know how to say that, like we're still trying to do our practice better, learn and grow. So I think I understand it's okay to avoid that situations if you can. Is there anything wrong that we point out? Like I understand you can go to those anything and be mindful, but also try to avoid that, because you might get, because although you think you might be mindful, but we sometimes struggle during that sort of very good, like especially say we come to end of the year, there's many social occasions, right? But what is your viewpoint with that, Bhante, just to understand?
Yeah, I think what you are saying is correct, because at first we need fair amount of individual practice, or we have to be careful who we are associating, what occasions we are participating, all that, because we are still growing. We are not yet an arahant, so we need certain kind of a precaution. Otherwise, it's very difficult to continue the practice, and otherwise we can't maintain the clarity of the mind, because many people are there, they are talking this and that, and we also get involved and get into too much thinking, and again come back home and you see that mind is fully corrupted, completely overwhelmed by the mundane things. Again we have to wash it out. It's a very, very difficult task. So therefore it is quite essential to maintain kind of a samma ajiva, where whom we are associating, what task we are getting involved, and what occasions we are participating, all that has a kind of a discrimination. But later probably, once you are somewhat seasoned and your mind has certain amount of developed mindfulness and concentration, then probably you can put yourself onto such occasion and see how the mind is behaving. So that is also a kind of a self-test, kind of acid test. So you are putting yourself onto such occasion and see, is it capable of withstanding that, tolerating that, without getting into much of troubling. Others are joking, others are drinking, and all those sort of things are going on. You are also in the scene, but your mind is not that involved. This is a very interesting way to test yourself. If you already develop certain amount of the insight, then your mind may be able to withstand such situation. So till that, you better be careful.
Okay, Bhante. Thank you very much, Bhante. Sounds very good. Everyone's Annai, Bhante.
Yeah.
Any merits.
Okay, everyone's Annai.
Thank you. I'd like to invite Indrad. Next question.
Sorry, Bhante, just a quick question. Adding to that previous first query, just want to ask, Bhante, like if you're like an individual who's like serious about like attaining nirvana, this birth, or like serious about this path, like the path, is it a good thing to like totally avoid such occasions, like like dealing with externals and those occasions like parties and all that distractions? What is your advice on that, Bhante? Like if you're serious about like at the end, like achieving something and just getting out of this cycle of samsara, so what is how would that play out?
I think there are two sides. So one thing is then you have to give up the certain relationships. You have to sacrifice certain relationships. You have to sacrifice your friends, say family well-being and all that, because sometimes our colleagues and our, say, whoever the other family members are expecting certain kind of a contribution coming from you. So if you are neglecting all those requests and only trying to be strictly following your own strict schedule, then there could be a possibility of arising certain conflicts within the family, within whatever your circle. So if on the other hand there is help coming from the others also to understand your defilements, because just being alone also sometimes we can't understand our rooted defilements and our latent tendencies in the mind. By associating with the others, by being with the others, if we are mindful, we can understand the behavior of our mind. So when I am dealing with one person, okay, my mind is behaving like this. When I am dealing with another person, my mind dealing with another way. So likewise, so these other individuals are giving us an opportunity to observe our mind and its behavior. So without their knowledge, we can make use of that ability, by the way. So it is not only to satisfy them that we are participating, but also to understand how the mind is behaving. What is the strength that I have developed so far as a result of the practice. So likewise, it's a kind of a self-test that we are doing. But if you feel, okay, now it is done and I am now doing well and no need to participate, okay, you have the freedom to avoid. And it's a kind of a balanced approach. Rather than me going to very strict, extremely rigid kind of a way, that also can create an internal conflict, internal friction. But if you are a little flexible and have the capacity to little compassion and little bit of flexibility, that can make the internally mind also a little relaxed. Kind of a balance, actually.
Okay. Get it. Thank you, Bhante. Just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Thero Sannai.
Okay, it looks like we have a question from, is it Venerable Dhamma Akila?
Abhasarai Swami answer.
Yeah, Thero Sannai.
Thero Saranai. For like just now you said that when to get to finally non-conceit in the practice, you have to slowly look at all these conceit mindfully, and you still have to take a kind of conceit, because taking a conceit to look at these things is part of the process.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I want to describe the sitting meditation is also like that sometimes.
Uh-huh.
You sometimes get to a crossroad during your meditation, like a junction, and you go, if you choose this way, maybe you get to a very concentrated state. And then if you choose the other way, you don't do anything at all, and then you have to let it be and just observe, right?
Uh-huh.
But then sometimes your mind, it's so subtle that you can't catch it, and you accidentally choose the wrong one.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this choosing of this conceit is very subtle and sometimes very hard. What I think, what I analyze and experience is that to not have a choice, you have to keep practicing until the mind becomes very used to not choosing.
Mm-hmm.
Because you see, sometimes when you have to choose, like now you calm down, you're at a very calm point in your meditation, sitting meditation, maybe it's walking meditation as well. Then if you don't do anything, it's good, but then sometimes your mind tends towards concentration. And now you have to tell yourself, let's not go to this side of concentration. Let's go to the other side of not doing. But then, it's so subtle that it's very hard to catch. So only by keeping practice, you can, anytime you come to this crossroad, the mind automatically chooses not to do anything, which is, more preferable, right? So am I correct in this sense?
So, so there are two states now you are talking. One state is getting to the concentration side and sort of enjoying a kind of a blissful, very interesting experience. And the other thing is you are not absorbing and rather you are maintaining a very surface kind of an awareness and without doing much. Just be. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes, Vanaya.
Okay. Yeah, I can agree with you. So that's why the concentration we have to handle carefully, because particularly the absorption. Say when we allow the mind to get absorbed and enjoy in a certain deep concentration, one advantage is that we are having a very pleasant experience, very interesting, very blissful experience. It's a reward of the spiritual practice. But the other side, the disadvantage is, so when we are often being there, there's a higher possibility to suppress the defilements, because there is a fairly high concentration, and as a result of that higher concentration, there's a suppression of defilements possible, and that is the disadvantage. So we have to therefore maintain a kind of a balance, because if we are not having much of a happiness in the practice, that is also a little discouraging. On the other hand, if we are not having enough opportunity to recognize the defilements, because they being suppressed because of the concentration, that is also a disadvantage. So therefore we have to have a kind of a middle approach. So if you feel, okay, today I can handle without much concentration, I don't need to get into any absorption, I let the mind to think if it wants, but I am looking at them from an inside point of view. I am trying to understand, as we discussed today, I try to understand the I-making, my-making, any kind of a comparison, any kind of subtle desires available in the thinking. So I am more into the investigation today. So then you don't need to allow the mind to get into any concentration. You rather just be. So not doing does not mean that we are allowing the mind to get completely polluted. Rather, we are not doing as such, but rather we carefully understand the mind. Mind is thinking, and we are recognizing these subtle aspects in the mind. In case it is going on to wrong direction, we can take it to the correct direction. If not, if the mind is simply just be, without any attachment, without any defilement, just empty, we can simply maintain it like that. So simple dwelling in the emptiness then. On the other hand, on another day, you feel, okay, I'm really bored and this is really dry, there is no motivation, there is no any happiness. Okay, you better get into concentration and enjoy a little bit of happiness.
Yeah, that's the, I guess that's the problem with this choosing, that choosing by itself is a conceit, right? So choosing today I want to do concentration. Choosing today I'm not gonna do concentration.
No.
That choice thing.
I don't think so. Why choosing become a conceited thing? We are not comparing with another person.
No, because you see, the other side is letting it be, is, just letting it happen, it's a non-choosing in a sense. The other side, but this side of choosing, like this side of, okay, today I'm gonna do concentration. It has a sort of a basic level of conceit as well.
I understand. I understand your point. Yes. Yeah, I can understand.
Yeah, so sometimes.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So sometimes it's it's so subtle that this part is so subtle that what I feel is that you have to this choice, letting the mind choose or letting it happen by itself.
Correct.
This choice thing is so subtle that you have to just keep practicing till it becomes ingrained in you. You know when to choose. You know when to let it happen. It's sort of like a wisdom of this on this subtle aspect of letting it happen.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
Is that a correct way of seeing it? Because say you just let it be, you just always do concentration, then it becomes ingrained in you as well. Then you always sit and then you becomes concentration. So you have to give it a little guidance at that point of junction where you have to choose. You give it a little guidance, say like a tiny bit of guidance, just a little bit of effort, if you can say, just to say, let's not do anything or let's enjoy concentration.
No
just a little bit of.
Then it is not absorption. Rather, it is basically allowing the mind to rest in the peace, and you are not even making a choice, and let the Dhamma to operate in a proper way. So you take off your hand totally, and you very much like surrendering, and you allow things to happen in a natural course of conduct. I think that's a wise thing to do. No problem. Because at that time, the mind is well behaving. Mind is fairly strengthened with fair amount of wisdom. So mind can handle things by itself. We don't need to interfere. And then we don't need to make any choice.
Yeah, because see, I'm at this point where I just let it happen, and sometimes it goes into concentration, and I go, am I supposed to do that? Am I supposed to let it go into concentration?
That's the thing. Am I
supposed to just...
That's the thing. When we allow it to happen, in case if it has taken the wrong direction, then we may have to interfere. That is very much like the typical simile I give is that you are very much like driving a vehicle. Suppose you are driving a vehicle and there are no any ongoing vehicles as such, and you are simply alone. The road is very clear, and you can even take off your hands from the steering wheel and you can allow the vehicle to move forward. But in case naturally it is now turning towards the left or right, now you need to little participate in the process and you take it back to the middle. Something like that. If not, in case the vehicle is smoothly flowing in the correct way, then you don't need to interfere. You can simply enjoy the ride.
Yes, I do realize this part. I do realize it takes a little bit of more practice, because sometimes you need to let the wisdom develop in this aspect and let it kick in by itself. Because sometimes you don't know what to choose. You don't know. Oh no, you're kind of like, should I suppress it? My concentration. Should I let it be and just observe and take a different standpoint? Sometimes you wonder, and then that wondering causes like a little bit of tension, in the practice.
Correct.
Sometimes, but it's okay. It's just part of the way. It's just letting your wisdom develop, as I understand it, letting our wisdom on this choice develop, and then just letting it happen by itself.
Now we need to take it a chance and see whether now the mind is really behaving really well without your interruption, without your participation, and it knows how to handle it totally. Then I don't need to interfere. But in case it is again getting to the wrong track, I have to little bit of participate in it. I feel it is circumstance basis, and certain day it may be in the proper way, but another day it may be onto the wrong way.
Yes, Swami. And so I also begin to see it, and this because this part is so subtle. It's like a vapidity choosing either the Deva realm or the Asura realm. It's
Exactly.
so subtle, it's so hard
Exactly.
to grasp fully.
But here,
I'm not trying. Yes.
But I think here not too much willful thinking is involved, but it's just a very subtle decision making at that moment.
Yeah. Very. That's why it's like that one moment of saying, do this or do that or don't do this.
Correct.
Don't do anything at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I say it as a junction, because I feel that it's one moment of choice that you say don't do, don't do. That's all I have to say once.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Interesting. And you can one day you don't do, another day you do, and see the results. So what's the outcome?
Sometimes there's no difference. That's the problem. Sometimes both are okay, and oh gosh, now you don't know what to do.
Interesting.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm just at this point in time, I'm just slowly understanding and trying to let it develop by its own.
Okay.
I mean, there's probably, you can see, the thing is, we can see it, but we might not fully understand it, and the mechanics behind it, it's too subtle and not for us to know, maybe.
Now, by the way, I mean, the best now when the mind is really behaving well as a result of the practice, I mean, the interaction should be very, very less. We don't need to do much. So the enlightenment factors are well developed, and we can completely rest, allowing the mind to take off. That is, I mean, there are certain, I remember I was reading something like that when the enlightenment factors are very much developed, so they themselves know how to handle it. We as an individual, we don't need to participate at all.
To really give up the conceit finally.
Yeah, exactly. Completely giving up.
Yes, right.
That's also a kind of a letting go, because till we are holding our hand, till we are participating, there is a self-view still operating. But when we fully allow things to happen and we fully take off our hand, that means we are into very much 100% let go of. We surrender, like, and I am taking off. And if the mind is taking to the correct direction, very good.
Yes, very much, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Bhante, if I may, I'd like to follow up on the previous conversation, because one of the key points that you've made, Bhante, is that as long as our mind is behaving good, I guess the question is, what is considered behaving well? And normally in our practice, we don't investigate and look at, the 7 factors of enlightenment. Is it balanced? What's missing? What's not? Or nor do we necessarily have the ability to really be able to see it so clearly and have the mind be balanced. The way that I've always thought of it, and maybe there's much more you can suggest, is I feel like as long as my mind is very clear, it's awake, and it's able to just know with a clarity, then that is the mind behaving well, right, Bhante? Or is there more that we can use to assess, is it behaving the way it should be?
Yeah, I think what you said is quite correct, because your mind is very clear. That is coming from the concentration part. So here we are not absorbing, but rather it's giving a very transparent, very clear background. So in case if there is any kind of a mishap, any kind of a defilement, then we can quickly trace it. But currently there is no such thing, so nothing much to do. And so simply allow it to be, just be. So it's a kind of a balanced mind. It's a kind of evenness of the mind is available. But there may be other occasions in case mind is not upright, mind is not mindful. Rather, it has gone to another distraction, or say it may be feeling lethargic, maybe feeling drowsy, or this kind of misbehaving or unbalance, certain kind of an imbalance may be available. On such occasion, certainly we have to do something. So there we can understand, okay, what is the area which is missing? Do I need to improve the clarity of the mind? Do I need to improve the awareness, kind of investigative quality of the mind? Or do I need to little calm it down because it's now feel a little agitated, so I need to little rest and calm it down? But as you said, if there is no any issue, then the clarity should be available, no agitation, kind of a very relaxed awareness is available, not thinking is available, the very quiet awareness is available. So that means it is doing really well, nothing much to do.
Yeah, because I feel like it's all the foundation is all still back to mindfulness, because even like you said, if we are noticing the mind is lethargic, right? Even being able to notice that and be mindful of that, and the mind will automatically correct itself in that instance if it is truly mindful. But that's what is sometimes lacking, that mindfulness. So without that, it's almost like we cannot just be aware. We have to do more of that applied method, whatever is our method for Vipassana, watching rising and falling, or something else. Is that correct, Bhante?
Yeah. Because if the mindfulness is available, I mean, at this kind of a level, it is not that we are purposely, deliberately making the mind mindful. Rather, mind itself is very, intrinsically mindful. We don't need to do anything to be mindful. Mindfulness is already present. It's a very, very effortless kind of a mindfulness. If such is available, nothing much to do. So mindfulness know what to do.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Bhante.
Yeah.
I believe that's last of the questions.
Okay, then thank you very much for your all of your interesting questions, and now we can wind up the session. So we are able to accumulate fair amount of merit by discussing the Buddha's teaching and practicing shortly, and again conducting a very interesting discussion. And all the merit we have accumulated, we will share with all the celestial beings, all past relatives, and whoever in need of merits. And we wish these merits help us also to attain path fruition, Nibbana. And we will recite the traditional verses. Ettavataca amhehi sambatang punya sampadang Sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhiya Sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhiya Sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhiya Akasattha ca bummattha deva naga mahiddika Punyantang anumoditva cirang rakkantu sasanang Cirang rakkantu desanang Cirang rakkantu mamparang Idang vo ñātīnaṁ hotu sakitā hontu ñātayo. Idang vo ñātīnaṁ hotu sakitā hontu ñātayo. Idang vo ñātīnaṁ hotu sakitā hontu ñātayo. Imina punya kammena māmi bāla samāgamo. Satang samāgamo hotu yāva nibbāna pattiyā. Idam me punya kammang asavakkaya vahang hotu. Sabba dukkha pamuncatu.